If something about time has already started to feel unstable, if it cracked the assumption that time flows forward like a river, then this is where that crack widens. Because once time stops behaving like a line, the entire structure of reality begins to look different. Not abstractly, not philosophically, but physically. If the present moment is not a moving point, if past and future are not places you travel to, then we are forced to ask a deeper question. What is the universe actually made of, if not events arranged in time? To answer that, physics had to confront one of its most disturbing discoveries. Distance doesn't behave the way we think it should. Two particles can be separated by vast stretches of space, and yet behave as if they are a single system. This phenomenon is called entanglement. When two particles become entangled, their properties are no longer independent. Measure one, and the other responds instantly, no matter how far apart they are. Not faster than light. Outside of time altogether. Physicist Tim Maudlin argues that entanglement is not a curiosity. It is a direct challenge to the idea that the universe is built from localized events unfolding in sequence. If distant events are correlated instantaneously, then before and after lose their absolute meaning. Cause and effect stop behaving like a one-way arrow. And this forces a radical rethinking of time itself. Some physicists propose that all moments, past, present, future, already exist, not as predictions, not as memories, but as a complete structure. This is sometimes called the block universe. In this view, the universe is not something that happens. It is something that is. All events exist together in a four-dimensional structure. Nothing flows. Nothing moves through time. Instead, consciousness moves through experience. If this is true, then the sensation of time passing is not a property of the universe. It is a property of observation. The universe is not becoming. It is being observed from within. And that shifts the question from what is time to why does it feel like time passes at all? To answer that, we have to look at living systems. Because whatever time is, life experiences it differently. A rock does not anticipate the future. A star does not regret the past. But you do. And that tells us something crucial. Time, as you experience it, is not just physical. It is biological. Living systems exist far from equilibrium. They maintain themselves by continuously exchanging energy and information with their environment. Physicist Ilya Prigogine showed that systems far from equilibrium naturally produce order, structure, and directionality. Time's arrow may not come from the universe itself, but from the way living systems organize change. In other words, time may be something life does, not something the universe contains. This idea deepens when we look at biology at the quantum edge. Certain biological processes, photosynthesis, enzyme action, even navigation in birds, appear to rely on quantum coherence. Life is not purely classical. It operates at the boundary between stability and uncertainty, between order and possibility, which means living systems may be exquisitely sensitive to timing, phase, and coherence. Not clock time, but relational time. This brings us back to the brain. Your brain is not a passive recorder of time. It is an active synchronizer. Different neural processes operate on different timescales. Your sense of now emerges when these rhythms temporarily align. Time, subjectively, is not continuous. It is stitched together, which explains why time stretches when you are afraid, compresses when you are absorbed, and disappears when you are fully present. This also explains why trauma feels timeless, why certain memories don't feel in the past. They are not stored as dated files. They are stored as patterns that reactivate now. Emotions are not reactions to events. They are predictions the brain makes based on past patterns. When those patterns fire, the past becomes present, not metaphorically, neurologically. So when people say, "I'm stuck in the past," they are closer to the truth than they realize. The past is not behind them. It is being reenacted now, which means change does not happen by moving forward in time. It happens by changing patterns in the present. This is where complexity theory enters the picture. Complex systems do not change linearly. They reorganize. They hover near critical points, then suddenly shift. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. Then everything changes. This is not gradual progress. This is phase transition. If identity is a complex system, and it is, then transformation does not require time. It requires reorganization, a shift in constraints, a change in what is reinforced. And this brings us to the final illusion left to examine. Not time. Identity. Because most of what you believe about who you are depends entirely on the assumption that you are a thing moving through time. A self with a past. A self heading toward a future. A self defined by continuity. But what if that continuity is not what it seems? What if the sense of being the same person over time is not a fundamental feature of reality, but a cognitive construction? Useful, convincing, and incomplete. Your identity feels stable because the brain is very good at creating the appearance of stability. But beneath that appearance, the system is constantly changing. Cells regenerate. Neural connections rewire. Beliefs shift. Emotional patterns reorganize. Nothing material about you remains fixed. And yet, subjectively, you feel like you. Not because there is a permanent self moving through time, but because the brain constructs a narrative of continuity. The self is not an object. It is an activity. And like time, it only exists now. Memory does not store the past like a recording. It stores fragments, associations, emotional tags. Every time you remember who you are, you reconstruct that identity in the present. Which means the self you think you've been carrying for years is being rebuilt. Slightly differently, every single moment. The feeling of "I am the same person" is not evidence of continuity. It is evidence of pattern persistence. And patterns do not require time to move forward. They require reinforcement. This is why identity can suddenly change, sometimes in a single conversation, a single insight, a single rupture. Change does not require time. It requires a shift in the present configuration. And this leads to a deeply unsettling realization. The feeling of being behind, or late, or running out of time is not a fact. It is a perception generated by prediction. The brain compares the present state to imagined futures. When those futures feel threatened, urgency arises. When they feel unreachable, despair appears. But both are responses to simulations, not to reality itself. This is why anxiety feels future-oriented and regret feels past-oriented, yet both are happening now. When identity fuses with time, the present moment becomes insufficient. Life turns into a waiting room. But physics does not support this story. Biology does not support this story. Neuroscience does not support this story. The only place the self is ever assembled is here. The only place meaning is generated is now. The only place change can occur is the present configuration of the system. This is why deep absorption feels timeless. Why presence dissolves past and future. Why healing feels like releasing a pattern, not moving on. When patterns loosen, time loosens with them. And when time loosens, identity softens. You stop experiencing yourself as a thing dragging a history behind it. You experience yourself as a process, responsive, adaptive, alive. Living systems are not locked into trajectories. They are open systems, constrained, but creative. Which means the most accurate description of a human being is not a person with a past and a future. It is a present-centered system generating continuity. Living in the present is not about focus, not discipline, not controlling thoughts. It is about recognizing what is actually real. The present is not a thin slice between two absences. It is the only domain where reality appears. The past is not behind you. It is appearing now as memory. The future is not ahead of you. It is appearing now as anticipation. And the self is not moving through time. It is being reassembled, moment by moment, from sensation, prediction, and meaning. When this is seen clearly, urgency softens. Not because nothing matters, but because nothing is missing. You are not waiting to become yourself. You are not late to your life. You are not running out of time. Time was never carrying you forward. It was being constructed around you. And when that construction loosens, what remains is not emptiness. It is presence. Not as an idea, but as a lived fact. Here, now, always.